In this lesson, we're going to try to render a darker complected person, and we're also going to render sequins. So she will have on a sequin leotard and a darker complexion. I've mapped her out with a terracotta pencil just to put her facial features in, decide where her hairline will be. And we'll put the light direction here, which is very important when you're rendering sequins, as you'll see when we get into that. And give her a little bit of a more defined outline, and then begin with the lightest color down to the darkest color and shadows. I'm going to start with the same color I used on the first croquis, remembering where your light source is. So it's lighter on that side, darker on the far side from the light source. You can always leave just a little bit of white. Makes their skin look shiny and clean. It just lays down a base coat that will come back now with a slightly darker shade. This time, instead of pale peach, I'm using brick beige. We can darken under her eyebrows. Start the shadows around her nose and filter them under her lips, under her chin, shadows around the collarbone and on the far side from the light source of the bust mound. Just start adding a little dimension to her body. Now I'm going to get a little bit darker to define her temples. Get a little bit with the shadows. Put a shadow on her cheekbone. Sort of blend this in with the outline so it doesn't look like such an outlined, prominent outlined thing. And blend this a little bit, going back with the lighter color. Smoothing it. Blending that brown cinnamon toast color with the lighter brick beige color. And we'll come in with just a little bit of this warmer terracotta color. And smoothing this. Sometimes you have to press hard and use a circular motion. And we'll come back in with that toast, cinnamon toast. Make this less harsh. I think at this point we're going to map out some facial features and come back and put some more blending on the skin. I'll take a brown for her eyes. If there's room, you can try and imply a little eyelid. And let's define this mouth a little. Use the colored pencil too to shade and define. And in a second I'll get to her hair. Before I lose it, I'm going to put her lips in. Come back with this cinnamon toast and smooth some of these things out. Go over to her hair. I'm going to start with light gray. And with very, very curly hair, you just want to give sort of that hint of that texture. Just go with a little bit darker gray here. And then let some details with line, either with colored pencil or the fine tip of a marker, define the texture even more. Starting with the gray, gives you a little room to play with contrast of light and dark and imply some shine, add some volume. You can imply a part over here by darkening in that spot or making it look a little more three-dimensional. Now we'll start on her sequined leotard. As soon as I give a little more definition to her face. And body. We'll come back in a minute and work on that a little more. Now with sequins, the light is over on this side and shadow here, so we can get fairly dark here. And in all the places where it would be dark, under the breast, the hollow of her stomach, down as you get into the crotch area, and on the side. So you can make several layers of that. And I would start rather slow with the lighter gray in the bright areas, blending. And then because sequins have a rough texture as well as a shiny texture, take a very fine point and start defining those edges, because the sequins are sewn all the way up to the edge of the leotard as well as down at the pant line. And this doesn't have to take a long time. You just squiggle on little loops. It'll all get built up eventually to look like the little circles that make up the sequins. It helps to squint along the way and imagine that highlight. And in the shadows, make them pretty dense. But in the highlight, they don't need to show as much. You don't need to have a sequin every single place. And then you can take the broad tip of the black and start making sequin-sized dots. Most of those dark sequins that are not catching the light and creating the glitter that you think of with sequins are on the shaded side, but you can scatter a few on the lighted side. Again, under the breast and in the hollow of her chest and stomach and belly, collect more. and just a few on the other side, the lighted side. And then you take a whiteout pen. Sometimes you have to test it. You have to squeeze it and go through and add the sparkles. They pop more if you put them on top of the black dots that you just made, but you can have some on the lighted parts too. Again, squinting will give you a better idea of the effect you're creating. Okay, and now we're going to go back and give her just a little more personality on the skin. I'm using a maroon so she doesn't look plastic. Emphasize her muscles. Give her some rouge on her cheeks. She's kind of serious looking, so I'm going to have to build that up. Maybe make her smile a little bit here. Who wouldn't smile if they could wear a sequin bathing suit like this, right? And then smooth that out. Okay.